Good evening, students. Today we are going to study about concurrent engineering. So, concurrent engineering is a systematic approach to the integrated concurrent design of product and its related processes, including manufacturing and other support processes. Okay, this approach is used by the developer of a product to consider all the elements or aspects of product life cycle, starting from the concept development to the disposal, including the quality, cost, schedule and other requirements of customer. So simply, the concurrent engineering is a process of including all the processes of product development life cycle to the design or concept development of product development. Next, we will see why we need concurrent engineering. So there is very increment in the product variety due to customized product demand by the customer, and the technical complexity of the product leads to do concurrent engineering. Next, we can see there is a very high global competition that leads to the competitive pressure on the developer uh, or the producer is the second reason why we need the concurrent engineering. Next, as the customer demands are changing very rapidly, and they need a very specific and very customized product, so we need a rapid response to this to cope up with this fast changing consumer demand environment. And next is a shorter life cycle of product. This also leads to the use of concurrent engineering. Next is there is there are new and innovative technologies emerging to the market at very high rate. So to stay in the market, to survive this competition, we need this concurrent engineering. Next is there are large organizations with several departments that are working together, that are working actually on developing numerous products at the same time. So if they work on this concept, so their result can be more focused. Okay, so that's why there are some these are some of the reason why we need this concept of concurrent engineering in our organization. Next, we will see a characteristic curve that represents cost incurred, actual cost incurred, and committed cost during product life cycle. So there are various phases of product life cycle, like conceptual design, where the very first concept of designing or developing a product starts. To the second phase is detailed design prototype, third phase is manufacturing, and fourth phase is distribution, service and disposal. Okay, so this graph shows the actual cost incurred. So we can see there is a sharp increase in the cost of a product during concept design to the detailed design of the product. So this increase is due to the research and development and the planning and design of the new product. So the bulk, you can see the bulk cost increase to this phase or the very starting phase of product development. Next, uh, uh, next phase is manufacturing. So here also the cost goes increasing because of the manufacturing, marketing, sales, and other cost, associated cost. So the maximum cost of the product development goes to the conceptual and manufacturing phase. After this phase of manufacturing, there is a very little increase in the cost of the product, and this phase refers to the distribution and and the service and disposal, which is related to the post manufacturing processes. So here a very little cost incurred during the whole life cycle of the product, and this cost is due to the after sales uh, service provided by the producer to the customer. Here you can see the in the actual committed cost of the product, most of the cost of the product occurred in the conceptual design and detailed design phase. The most of the 80% cost committed of a product leads to the design phase. Okay, so if we can focus in this phase of designing, so we can lead to save overall development cost of the product. Okay, so what I'm saying, that if we can focus to the design phase, we can save most of the cost of product development. Okay, so what we do in concurrent engineering is we try to align all the phases of product development to the very starting phase of product development, that is conceptual design and detailed design. Okay, so that we can save most of the cost and time of overall product development. Okay, now we'll see some more points related to this concept. So concurrent engineering refers to an approach used in product development in which the function of design engineering, manufacturing engineering, and other functions are integrated to reduce the elapsed time of new product to come into the market. Okay, this is also called the simultaneous engineering. It might be the counterpart of computer aided design and computer aided manufacturing technology. So as we know, in traditional approach to launching a new product, the two functions of design engineering and manufacturing engineering tends to be separated, means they are done individually and sequentially, and we'll see as in the product as in the figure. And product design department develops the new design without much consideration given to the manufacturing capability of the product or the company, sorry. Means the design department develops the design without knowing the capability, manufacturing capability of the company. Okay, so as we can see in our traditional product development cycle, there is a large gap between product design and manufacturing engineering phase that leads to the large time to product launch. Okay, but in concurrent engineering phase, we can say we can see that the product design and this manufacturing and other related phases are concurrent, okay, they are working simultaneously. So automatically the product launching time to the market gets decreases. Okay, so we can save this much amount of time to launch the product in the market. Okay, next, there is a little opportunity for the manufacturing engineer to give some advice to the design engineer that might change to the that might change to the design that that can make it more manufacturable. Okay, so the manufacturing engineer had really restricted opportunities now once the design has completed. So when the design engineer department completes the design, so it tosses the design and its specifications to the manufacturing department, and then the planning starts. Okay, so in any company that practices concurrent engineering, the manufacturing engineering department becomes really involved in the very starting phase of product development, that is design, to provide the advice on how the product and its component can be designed to make it more manufacturable or producible. Okay, next, in addition to manufacturing engineering, in the concurrent engineering, the other functions are also involved in product development cycle, such as the quality engineering department, manufacturing department, field services, vendors, and sometimes the other the customers who are going to use the product. Okay, so we are taking in consideration to the all aspects of product development to the very first stage of product development, that is conceptual design or design of the product, so that we can make the product or design the product which can be manufactured in our company. So the all these functions that we are making to increase the contribution of all the department during product development is not only help to improve the function and performance of new product, but it also help to improve the producibility, inspectability, testability, serviceability, and maintainability of an organization. Okay, that we will be able to produce whatever we have designed. It will help to improve our all capabilities. And the early involvement of all the phases of product development helps in in reducing the time of reviewing the final product design. As in traditional way of manufacturing, it 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 became very late to conveniently make any changes in the design. Okay, as we do the sequential processes, so in the later stages, if we are not able to produce something, so it becomes very difficult to make changes in the design. Okay, so automatically the duration of product development cycle is substantially reduced in concurrent engineering technique. So the various elements of concurrent engineering are, there are basically four elements. Number one is design for manufacturing and assembly. Number two, design for quality. Third is for design for cost. Fourth is design for life cycle of the product. Okay. First, we'll see the design for manufacturing and assembly. In this element, the design decision include the material, geometry of the part, its tolerances, surface finish, and how the product are organized to the assembly and sub-assembly methods. Okay, so here the all the decisions regarding manufacturing of product, so the geometry and tolerance and surface finish are related to the manufacturing, and the sub-assembly and assembly related decisions are made. Okay, for example, a product designer a product designer decides that a part is to be made of an aluminum sand casting. So the process that we are going to use is aluminum sand casting, but that processes the features that can be achieved only by machining, such as threaded holes and very close tolerances are required. So the manufacturing engineer has no alternative except to plan a process sequence that starts with sand casting and followed by the machining operations, okay, to achieve this specified feature. Clear? And next, the design for manufacturing assembly also involves the systematic consideration of the manufacturability on assemblability in the development of new product design. That is our capability to manufacture the product and assemble it according to the design, specified design. And this element include the organizational changes. It requires organizational changes and some design principles and guidelines that needs to be followed to get the design for product element, design for manufacturing and assembly element of concurrent engineering. The organizational changes can be accomplished in several ways. Number one is by creating a project team that consists of product designer, manufacturing engineer, and other specialists like our quality engineer and material engineer, okay, to develop the product design. Next, by requiring a design engineer who spend some time in manufacturing to witness the to witness in how to manufacture and assemble the part in first hand. Okay, next we need a manufacturing engineer to the product design department. Okay, uh, to serve as a producibility consultant, means who can consult us or give advice on the producibility and manufacturability of the product. Okay, next is design principles and guidelines. There are around 25 24 guidelines of product design. Okay, you can read it, they are very simple, that needs to be followed during designing of the product for easy manufacturability. Okay, next phase is design for quality. Now we have understood this design for quality concept in quality management also. So as we know that design is not a thing that can happen just suddenly, so we need to follow some guidelines regularly or continuously. So it must be planned for product design and its manufacturing. So design for quality term is refers to the principles and procedures that are used to ensure that the highest possible quality of design product can be achieved. Okay, what are the ways or principles that needs to be followed during its design and product to achieve the highest quality of products. Okay, so the general objective of this design for qualities are to design the product to meet or exceed the customer demand. So why we need the design according to the quality to meet the customer requirement. Next, to design the product to be robust. Robust means to cope up with the changes in the environment of the product. The product can survive with flexibility in the sense of Taguchi. Next, objective is to continuously improve the performance, functionality, reliability, and safety and other quality aspects of the product to provide the best value to the customer. Okay, so this is the design for quality. The next element is design for product cost. So as we know that cost of the product is a major factor, one of the major factor in determining the commercial success of a product in the market. And this cost also affects the price charged by the company for the product and the profit made by the company. So the design for product cost refers to all the efforts of the company made to specifically identify how design decisions can affect the product cost and to develop ways to reduce the cost through its designs. Okay, how well we can design a product to produce it in minimum cost, okay, to in optimum cost. Next, these are the various costs of the product that are related to various phases of its development. Like in product development and design phase, there are costs related to market research and other research related to new product technologies, and there is cost related to engineering and analysis and optimizations, and cost in design drawing specifications, prototype development, and design testing. Like in manufacturing, there is cost related to manufacturing process research, process planning, and tool design. Then we need material for manufacturing products, so the cost is associated with purchasing raw material, its component, and the transportation of raw material, and receivement and inspection. Next, in manufacturing, we need a cost related to fabrication, means manufacturing, assembly, material handling, and production planning and its control. For inspection, we need cost for its inspection and testing. And in distribution, we need warehouses. We need we need to ship the product to the required destination. We also need money for inventory control. There are also the various overhead costs associated with product development, like factory overhead and corporate overhead, etc. Next is design for life cycle. So to the customer, the price he pays to the product is a very small portion to the total cost of the life cycle when we consider the total cost of the life cycle. So design for life cycle refers to the product after it has been manufactured, and it includes all the factor ranging from product delivery to the product disposal. Okay, some customers like government also include the consideration of these costs in purchasing decisions, and the producer of product often offer the services contract that maximizes the liability of product, liability of customer in terms of maintenance and service cost. Okay, so the various factors of design for life cycles are the number one is delivery. So in delivery, there are issues like transportation cost, time to delivery, storage, distributions, and the type of carrier we required. Okay, next factor is installability. So there is a utility requirement like electricity and air pressure, etc. There are construction cost and field assembly. We need to assemble the product uh, where it is required, and other supporting requirement during installations. Next is reliability. Next factor is reliability. Reliability includes the service life of the product, the failure rate, the reliability testing requirements, and the material used in the product and its tolerances. Next, maintainability factor include the design modularity, types of fasteners used in the assembly, be to maintain them. It requires the maintenance, like preventive maintenance. Okay. Next is serviceability. Um, we need various diagnostic techniques and training of the field staff, and we need to see the tool required and availability of spare part to do the service. There are also the various human factors associated with this. We need ease and convenience to use the product, and we we need control the flexibility or also the product, so it could be easily maintained and used by the by the customer. We need to control the risk of injury during operation. Next is upgradability. So the compatibility, we need to mm, understand the compatibility of current design with future modules, and there is cost associated with this upgrade. So the product should be easy to upgrade and should be compatible with the future changes in the product also. Next very important factor is disposability. It should be easily disposable, and it should not contain any hazardous waste. Okay, it should be less hazardous, and uh, if possible we should use the component that are recyclable. Okay, so this was the last element of concurrent engineering, that is design for life cycle. Okay, so this is the reference. All the data, all the material has been taken from the book Grover. The book is Automation and Production System. Okay, so this was all about concurrent engineering. Thank you.